Welcome. I'm going to introduce you to my thoughts on road safety. These are not based on a deep insight of South Australia. I hope later this year that will improve, of course, when I come up with some ideas or recommendations, whatever. So I hope you find my thoughts enough thought-provoking, because that's my intention to do. Let me introduce you first of all to my country. For those who haven't been there, it's a crowded country. It's orange, and I hope you will see that in a few weeks' time in South Africa. We have quite some cars. We are with something like 17 million inhabitants. It's a country of bicyclists. A lot of. Perhaps you know that there are more cycles than inhabitants in this country. However, we have a very important position when it comes to road transport in Europe, having our harbour, Rotterdam and Schiphol airport. So it's a somewhat crowded country, and it's busy indeed. And I ask you, do you recognize one person here on this slide? Yes, you're right, it's our Queen. I don't believe this is a normal behavior, that she's going to the market and doing some shopping, but nevertheless, here you see our Queen. Here you have the objectives of my residency, and they are drafted for me and I accept them fully. That means that I'm trying to contribute to driving down your road toll. We will talk about death and injuries. I'm going to support the development of your new strategy in this country and also in this state. A culture of safe road use among South Australians using the safe system approach. Don't be too frightened by that term, I'm going to explain it to you. Establish links between the state and local government. Try to include road safety to your strategic plan for Greater Adelaide. Promote and support road safety research, and last but not least, promote South Australia, whatever that means. But I'm going to do that. As Gabriel told already, this is a country which has a good road safety record. And here you see the development of the number of fatalities over the years. And that means that we drove our fatalities down from more than 3,200 to something like 700 last year. And that's a reduction of something like 80%. At the same time, we increased our mobility, our motorized mobility is 20 times, so 20 times more kilometers traveled at the same time. So there's enormous reduction when it comes to rates. That's not unique in the world, I have to say that. And here I have a graph indicating developments in different parts of the world. And here you can see that OECD, Asia Pacific, by the way, that's the area you belong to, performed pretty well as well. And now I'm talking about countries such as Japan, Korea, New Zealand, but also you. Sometimes I show this to my US friends and challenge them why they are not making a lot of progress, like all the other regions in the world, motorized regions in the world. So we are not unique, but the pace of improvement of my country is one of the highest in the world. And that resulted in a comparison in Europe. But you can see here, don't try to read all these short names of these European countries. But I would like to say to you that NL means the Netherlands, SE means Sweden, and UK is UK. These are the safest countries when you compare the number of fatalities with the number of inhabitants, the so-called mortality rate. And that's what we use internationally when we compare countries. And here you see that we have reached a stage of something like 4.5 fatalities per 100,000 inhabitants. This per million, so 45. And you are somewhere at the stage at 7.3, something like that. So indeed 40% safer. The interesting thing as well here is to see that almost all the blue columns are lower than the white columns. That means that a lot of European countries are making progress. And that's good to know that if you have the ambition to improve the situation, that there are quite some countries who are able to do that. So you're not alone in your ambition to driving down the number of people killed and injured on your roads. The next thing, of course, is try to understand why we made progress. What did we do? And we carried out a study comparing the 3 safest countries in Europe: Sweden, United Kingdom, and the Netherlands. And we call them the sun countries. And we call this study the sunflower. And those who are familiar with a famous painter in the Netherlands, from the Netherlands, are familiar with his name, perhaps. So, sunflower. And it's interesting to present to you the main conclusions from this study. All these 3 countries have similar levels of safety through continuing planned improvements over decades. So they planned their improvements. It's not coming overnight and then you have improvements. You have to plan and implement these changes. And you need a certain time period for that. Decades. We targeted the same areas. However, the policies are different and at a detailed level. And that's one of the lessons I learned from my activities all over the world. Perhaps it can work in my own country, but that doesn't mean at all that it will work in your country, because your country is different from ours, the structure in your country is different, the culture in your country is different, so we have to adapt these thoughts to your structures and to your cultures, and that's one of the most important tasks I see before me. We all use quantitative targets, have road safety plans integrated in broader plans. So not standalone road safety plans, but try to bring them in a broader, in this case, transport plan. We have decentralized responsibilities, so not just the government, not just the local authorities, not just the police, but we have decentralized responsibilities that mean that they have to act as well. And we have an arrangement of financial support for stakeholders. And the last conclusion is important as well. The understanding in society that death and serious injuries are regarded to a large extent as avoidable. So there's no need to accept the injury or the death toll today. To a large extent, these crashes are avoidable. And we all share that vision in these 3 countries.